So do you think sexless relationships are doomed?
Essentially, I do.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Unless the people are, unless they're conscious and loving with each other, and they can presence this fact and make a different agreement.
Mhm.
I think the big issue is that let's take women shutting it down, because that's more common, right? It's not always that way, but it's more common. So let's say the woman shuts it down, and this is very common with my clients' partners, and they say, essentially, I just don't want sex anymore, and I don't desire it. They may be going through menopause, they may not,
Mhm.
and most of those women still hold the expectation that their partners should be faithful to them, which I find to be really interesting. Now, I think we change, and therefore our agreements need to change, right? If we're alive in our relationships, if we're alive in love. But it's interesting to me how the woman might know that this agreement was part of being a married couple, and yet she's saying, I'm done with that, and still holds this expectation that he be true to her. This is where I think it could work if they open themselves to what could be a different arrangement if we actually still want to be in relationship, because there are pieces of our lives that we love together. But oftentimes it's not that way. And then what this creates is a man who feels like a failure, right?
Mm.
And what happens when a man feels like a failure in a relationship to a woman? He just withdraws, he gets depressed, um, he may become aggressive. It's just not pretty, and it's not loving to not consider, how to negotiate this new change.
Yeah, it really does affect your self-esteem, and I could see that with my last partner, where he was the one kind of expecting more sex, and I could see that that was hurting him, but at the same time I just didn't want to do something I wasn't really into. So it's a very difficult situation to be in. And also there are so many other things in a relationship, like for example, just the how are you every morning, the messages, and the support. And you think, is the sex kind of, how important is it? I think it's different. I think it does raise a lot of questions. So do you think sometimes that polyamory could be an option, or because that's also can be quite dangerous for some couples? Do you think?
Definitely, I think it could be an option if it can work for both people in that couple. And I think it has its challenges.
Mm-hmm.
When two people are sexual, it definitely has its challenges, because they're constantly introducing a new element. That person is a complex being, right? That they're inviting into their lives, and that complex being also has needs. Um, but if a couple isn't sexual together and they can contract this in a way that feels safe to each of them, I think it could work. But I notice very few people are open to that.